Askari, how you doing this morning?
I'm blessed, thank you very much.
Oh, it's good to have you. How long have, we're going to start with a few introductory comments or questions to you. How long have you lived in Vallejo?
I've been here 30 years. We moved in right around Thanksgiving in '87. Yeah.
And coming from where?
I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
In an area called Ashburton. And then we moved into Concord, and we didn't feel comfortable there at that time. And actually at that time they had hung a black guy on the tree at the BART station. So, exactly. So we found a place, we looked all over. My daughter said she felt comfortable here, and that's why we moved here.
You know, I know you've always been really actively involved in the community.
Yes.
For which everybody is eternally grateful. In terms of your civic involvement, have you voted often? Do you feel comfortable voting in Vallejo?
I vote every time there's a time to vote. As one whose ancestry is that we were not able to vote, it was instilled upon me at an early age that this is something that you must do no matter what, even when I feel like I don't want to get out of the bed. that is something that I need to do, just the fact that, and as I tell everybody, that my granny was 107 when she passed. So just on the strength of what she went through and her heritage and her life, it's imperative that I do that and pass that on to my glam kids as well as to my daughter.
In all those years that you've participated, in looking back at it, has the process here in Vallejo been a fair one in your eyes?
It's been okay. One of the experiences that I did have when Osby was running for office, living in the Glen Cove area, we went down to Glen Cove to vote, and we were told that we need to go somewhere else. So I'm saying, well, why is it that we're supposed to go somewhere else when we reside in this area? So I made the phone call to find out as to where I'm actually supposed to vote, which was right there. So if I was being turned away, how many other people were being turned away as well? So that was a major issue for me. And so sometimes it's fair and sometimes it's not.
Do you feel your voice, however, has been fairly heard, even though we don't always get our way in elections, obviously, but were you in any way impeded from voting? Or?
Well, I feel that if you're going to run me around in circles, knowing that this is where I'm supposed to be, whatever your error is or whatever the circumstances are, then you are impeding me because you're taking time away from me, sending me on a wild goose chase, knowing that I'm going to end up coming right back to the same spot. Again, if that's done to me, how many other people was that done to? So that was an issue for me.
Okay. Let's move on to the district voting, which is, of course, is a hot topic right now, or becoming a hot topic here in Vallejo. What's your understanding about what they're attempting to do at this point?
Change the whole system, break it down into our districts, our areas, and eliminate, as far as I'm concerned, our choices of voting for whomever we choose to. And to get straight to the point, for me, that's exactly what's happening. We're being told that if we choose to fight this, then it's going to cost us a ridiculous amount of money, knowing that all of these other places, all these other cities have lost from 4.5 million to 1.1 million to 100 and some thousand, 50 some thousand on. It's kind of frustrating for me. So what you're saying to me is that I have no choice, that this is the way that it's going to go, that you're taking my voice away from me. The person that I choose to vote for, should they not be in my district, I cannot vote for. At what point do you understand that you are taking my voice, my piece of freedom that was fought for? So if you're going to take that away, what other changes are coming next?
In kind of piggybacking on that, in terms of the financial impact, is it your feeling that is there a limit in your mind? You mentioned other areas have fought with maybe $4.5 million, $1.2, $1.3 million. Knowing that there's a cost attached to that, does that bother you?
Absolutely. It bothers me that there's someone coming in to challenge us to say that this is something that we have to do. It bothers me that this is federally mandated. If I have that correct, it bothers me that coming out of bankruptcy not so long ago, this would put us so far behind a game. And you know, people may get mad at me, but I believe that Vallejo needs to come into 2019. We are so far behind compared to so many other cities. Though this is truly a city that I love because I've chose to stay here, but we need to be realistic about how things are done here. And when people start taking our freedoms away and forcing us to do this, again, I say to you, what comes next?
I would take it then that you felt, given the two systems, at-large versus district voting, that if there were, you would prefer to have at-large continue, that even though you were procedurally prevented, or at least it became difficult for you procedurally at one point to vote, that that's something you can live with in terms of moving forward and being able.
That's something that you just, this is a me question. This is something that I can live with without any issues. Now, what I love about this country is that you have the right to your own thoughts and to do whatever you feel is best for you. And so as you ask me this question, I state to you that that's a problem for me. You are stepping on my rights, and I don't like that.
Okay. So I take it, obviously, you don't feel it is necessary to make this change. Would that be a fair kind of?
I think that would be a fair
summary for you?
A summary for me.
Okay. Let's talk about the diversity of the city. I think one of the things that keeps getting mentioned is that we are a very diverse city. Do you feel that if we continue with that large elections, that at this point in time we have a fair representation, or we continue to have at least a reasonably fair representation of our diversity?
Well, kind of bothers me. I understand that we come from a very diverse community, but it kind of bothers me that we always talk about we are one of the #1 communities of diversity when there's so many issues in this community. So sometimes I feel like if I hear that one more time, I'm going to just pop, because are we dealing with the issues culturally that continue to exist here as we live every day? We can talk about how much we love it. We can talk about, you know, how many different cultures we have here. And yes, we are, you know, one of the top places that have this. But are we really dealing with issues truly around the board? So I think in terms of the elections, we just have to continue to bring people to the table that we feel that we want to fight and vote for. And we need more people of color at the table. We need more than what we have. As someone said to me once, you know, you have a black president. You should be so proud, and aren't you happy now? Aren't you happy now? Well, that's nice. We have a black president. Yes, I am proud, as so many millions are, but we need more. Well, we now have someone on city council. Aren't you happy now? Am I happy now? What are you saying to me? Is this all that we can have? This is all that we can get? And this is our allotment of how many black and brown people that we can have in office? What are you saying to me? No, it's not enough for me. We need more.
In following up on that, I mean, because I know you've been involved in a lot of campaigns, and you say we should be moving closer to 2019, or at least getting there, making an effort to get there. How would you continue, in your mind, to broaden that diversity? If a candidate came up to you or a group came up to you, what would you suggest to them?
I don't know about what I would suggest to them, but what I would say is that we need to, in our cultures, we need to rally around the people that we want. As in the example of Hakeem Brown, many cultures came behind this gentleman to support him and to put him into office, which is a wonderful thing to see. So we need to get behind more black people, more Native Americans, because we don't even talk about them And this is their land as far as I'm concerned that we're walking on. So we need to bring more people into the fold and stand behind them and get them into office. We need to stop being apathetic. We need to get off the telephones and talking about the issues at hand, and then get off the phone, and then that's it. Going to meetings and sitting in meetings after meetings after meetings, revisiting the same issue year after year after year. So what is happening? What is really actually happening? So, you know, we need to get behind these people that can make a difference for us and put them in office.
How would you dig down and find these folks? I mean, it's very difficult politically for people to rise up. I mean, it's difficult to thrust yourself in that arena, you know, of being questioned, scrutinized, putting a campaign together, you know, physically how difficult that can be. Mm-hmm. What would you do to reach out to, let's say, a Native American group, if the assumption was at that point that, you know, somehow we need to get more Native American involvement, or, you know, in my instance, more Chinese involvement, more mm-hmm. Chinese American involvement. What would you see as an optimal way to reach down and identify those folks and then lift them up to the point where they felt comfortable in running for public office? Because it's a tough job.
Well, I don't have the magic answer. But all I can say to you is just keeping it simple mm-hmm. and just going to those organizations and asking to dig down and ask, who would you like to see get out and represent mm-hmm. you? And I'm quite sure if you talk with them, they will have somebody that they feel that would be willing and might be interested. Time to change it. Be interested in trying to make that change, being that change that we keep talking about. And once we do find those individuals, I mean, like I said, I don't have the answers, but hopefully there is somebody there that we will stand and rally behind. But we need to get behind them and get out there and vote, not just talk about it. That's the only thing that you can do.
In bringing up folks from the grassroots, do you feel that district voting could achieve that or help achieve that?
I don't know, Dennis. I'd like to say yes, but I don't know. All I know is that whether it's district or if it's wide, we have to stand behind whatever candidate it is and get people out there to get them to vote. Mm-hmm. Because if people don't get out there to vote, even when they break it up in these little districts, what's going to happen?
But if you were asked to divide Vallejo up into districts, how would you see that map? Because they've asked us, the consultants have asked, obviously, you know, for us to submit our own little maps. How would you see Vallejo redistricted? And this is Askari's redistricting.
I would love to be able to answer that question. In my mind, it is hard for me to answer that one because I refuse to allow myself to see it broken up into those areas. Mm-hmm. Because in my mind, I think it's extremely the wrong way to go. No matter how you bring that question to me, I'm not going to create an answer just for that question. I do not agree with breaking up the city that way. And I believe that no matter which way we go, whomever we find, or the organizations or different folks find that they feel should be a part to run, that we have to get behind them. Mm-hmm. That is my firm answer in terms of that. Rallying behind grassroots, how it was done back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Being able to support an individual no matter where they are living in the city.
No matter where they're living. Mm-hmm. That's the only way they're going to win, unless no one is opposing them.
Would you see reasonably Vallejo engaging in a fight against this lawsuit? Basically, it's been brought about by a lawsuit.
I hope not. To spend those types of funds, seeing what has already transpired. I mean, you can always step out on faith like that, but do I want to spend millions of dollars when we know that there's so many other things that need to happen in this community? This is a federal law, and that is going to happen.
Yeah, actually, It's
Is
state
it state law?
It's a state law, but it has copied the federal law, not
Okay.
completely. But
Okay.
it's off the National Voting Rights Act.
Okay, so thank
A little
you.
bit more limited, and that's, you know,
But-
that's not really a critical issue.
But is it not a law? It's enacted.
yes.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's clearly that. It's a
so
state
it's a
law.
critical issue.
Yeah.
So my point being is that if it is so, then how are we going to get around that one?
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's the case, then why would I waste that money knowing that I can take that money and do what deems necessary for this community?
Okay. So that would be your priority system in your own mind.
In my own
You know, if I
mind.
have to do it, I have to do it, but I'd rather spend the money doing something else.
Yep.
Would that be a fair
That would
premise?
be a quite fair assessment.
Anything we haven't touched on that you'd like to really just kind of get out there?
The only thing that's important to me is that remember that we should have the right to have freedom. That when you start messing with that, it opens up the doors for other things. Again, what comes next when you start telling me that I cannot vote for the person that I want that lives in a different district? You're now telling me that I no longer have that right. And I have a problem with that.